Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Art Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
Hey, this is Tyler Jones, and you're listening to another Big Buck Breakdown from the Element Podcast. What's happening, everybody? KC, we're seeing some rain for the first time today.
It's fine. They promised it, and it's finally here, Tyler. Just about, 4 hours late. It was supposed to be 80 degrees, and it's actually 95 today.
Yeah.
So that's quite the contradiction.
Yeah, I don't understand how you can miss it that bad.
I don't know either.
When you look at the weather the night before, it should be within 15 degrees. Right?
Well, we are within 15 degrees. So
Okay,
we're right on that
14
margin.
degrees.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, good grief.
I know it, man. It's made it for a long, hot day of chicken cams, but it's been a lot of fun. I feel good right now. I don't feel bad. I feel good.
Yeah, I do too. I got a little kind of blister on my ankle, same deal on these boots. But other than that, like currently my other hot spots have gone away, so I feel pretty good right now. We have been out checking trail cameras, like you said, and I think you said that. Yeah. And we have got a couple of shooter bucks already, and we still got 3 cards on one of our best areas to check.
Yeah, and I kind of can't believe we're doing this intro right now instead of doing that, but that's okay.
Sometimes you have to work, And speaking of work and trail cameras in August, which we got velvet bucks on our trail cameras.
We do, and we actually had we got one hardhorn buck.
Yeah.
But most of our bucks are still in velvet. They're probably shedding as we speak because we saw some pretty fresh rubs today.
Well, they're probably just hot, and they thought it was going to be 81 today, and so they decided when it was 95 that they needed to shed their velvet.
That's right, man.
So they could cool down.
Yeah, we actually know somebody who we're fixing to talk to.
Yeah.
That killed a velvet buck this year.
That's the truth.
Good one.
Yeah. So we have Alex Comstock from WhitetailDNA. You have probably heard us do a couple of interviews with him. He's been on the podcast a few times, and pretty recently, like July, I think we did a pretty lengthy podcast with him. That was one of my favorites we've ever done. Man, he's a really smart guy. He's a thinker, man. You can tell like he has thought about things long and hard, and he has a lot of good ideas. And I think that the proof is in the fact that he just smoked a velvet toad up in a great state of North Dakota. So
with a good story that has some adversity to it too, man. He kind of went through a good bit, but I'm sure we'll talk about that in a second.
For sure, yeah. Anything else we need to hit on before we get to Alex?
No, man. I'll just make sure that you've went and watched Nameless on YouTube. That's our film that we just released from our buck last year. And then be sure and go check out WhitetailDNA as well. And with that, let's hit up Alex.
Sounds good. Let's do it. All right, so on the phone now we have Alex Comstock. What's happening, dude?
Not too much. How are you guys doing?
Man, sweating, but we're doing good.
Doing well.
Yeah. So, are you back in the home state now?
Yeah, I am back in Minnesota now. Back at work and just living life.
Man.
Well, I bet you're feeling a little better about work this week.
Maybe even a little worse. I don't know if I wanted to come back after coming off the high.
No kidding, dude. Okay, so So you shot a really nice deer in velvet, dude. Tell us the story, man.
Yeah, well, it was pretty cool. It was, I've been out in North Dakota for a few years, and this was my first year having it be an out-of-state hunt. Took the first 5 or so days to hunt out there, and had planned a big trip with a couple other guys and everything, and super excited about it. Didn't have as many bucks to hunt this year. I don't know what the story is there yet, but we just don't have as many mature bucks on camera. But I got out there, and the first night was a good night of hunting. I mean, I saw just a bunch of does, but one of the guys in our group saw a real nice mature buck that was a shooter, but didn't come close enough. And then the next 2 days, I think it was, Friday and Saturday, Saturday and Sunday, I got deathly ill. It was probably the sickest I've been since I can remember. I don't know what I caught, but it really kind of screwed the trip up for me, or at least I thought it was going to, because I didn't even hunt the second day of season, which is just when you're planning for a trip and super excited to go, and there's usually nothing that's going to stop you from actually hunting.
Yeah.
But I tried to make it out in the stand, couldn't. And then the next day, it was just, I had to hunt somewhere that was close and an easy walk because I had just no energy.
Yeah. You think it was buck fever?
Yeah, I got the buck fever really bad. I mean, and then we went into Monday. I hunted and didn't see any deer. And then after Monday night's hunt, I was very tempted to just call it a trip, head back home, come back to work a day early and save a day of vacation. But, I was like, I'm going to stick it out, hunt the last day. I mean, I'm already here. So on that Tuesday, it was Tuesday, September 4th this week, I ran around and was actually planning on hunting a new spot that I'd never hunted before. But I had checked this trail camera, and we had this probably 3.5-year-old 8-pointer that I knew about. He's been showing up on camera all summer, and he had showed up in daylight the 2 days prior to me hunting him. And I figured it was my best shot at anything. And I actually didn't know if I was going to shoot him because he was kind of borderline for me, but I figured I'd make the call if I actually had an encounter with him.
Uh-huh.
And so that night I went into the stand, and he was the first deer I saw at right around sunset. And as soon as I saw him, he was coming across this bean field. And right when I got eyes on him, there wasn't even a question in my head. And I was like, there's no way I'm not shooting this buck. And he came in. Where I was sitting was really cool because I was on the edge of a tree line sandwiched between standing corn and beans. And all around me were apple trees and a plum tree, which you were actually
the first one. Did you pull this spot out of a magazine? Golly.
It ended up working out pretty good.
That's awesome.
But this buck comes right across the bean field and coming right at me. And he had turned, and I back at full draw, but then he wasn't on camera, and I really wanted to get the shot on film. And then he came right underneath me and was just chomping on these apples for about 5 to 10 minutes, and was so thick right under. I mean, there's so much stuff going on in this tree that I was in, and all these apple trees that I could hardly even see him, even though he was right there. And then he finally got to where I had checked the camera earlier in the day and was standing. And I knew as soon as he got over there, I was like, there's no way he's not going to get a little tweaked out or something. And sure enough, he did. And he turned around and kind of scooted back off from the beans, kind of a light jog. And then he turned and to get out of there pretty much and started walking and turned broadside. I got the camera on him and stopped him and sent the arrow, and ended up being about a perfect shot. And he ran probably 100 or 150 yards and piled up, and that was that. And,
dang, dude.
It was pretty neat.
Did you watch him fall?
I didn't. I thought I saw him go down because I had him on camera, and then I looked up and didn't see him, and I looked down back at my camera and he wasn't there, so I figured he went down, but he actually had gone a little further, but he didn't make it too far. And it was pretty cool.
Man, that's awesome. So how you were telling me that you got them to the taxidermist pretty quick. I mean, did you have to do anything to like preserve the velvet, or how does that work?
No, so pretty much as soon as I got back to the car, I called the taxidermist, and he told me to more or less cape it out and get it in a freezer ASAP. It actually wasn't, I mean, the lows that night were in the 40s, so it wasn't that hot, which was nice. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what we did. I shot him at 8, and by the time we had given him a little bit of time to die, and just in case, and found him and got him back to the car, it was 11, 12 o'clock. And then by the time we had him caped out, you know, it was probably 1 in the morning by the time we got him back to the house and everything. But we got him caped out, and then I pretty much threw him in the freezer right away. And then the next morning I picked him up from my friend's house from the freezer and brought him straight to the taxidermist. So
sweet.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So it's, you know, quite the contrast to your hunting experience in North Dakota over the past couple of years, sounds like. And, you know, by the way you talked, this deer wasn't really a target, but he definitely was a deer that you knew of. But, you know, you had this great success that just sounds like an awesome story. Like, how would you rate, like, your satisfaction from that versus, like, following a deer for a couple years and you know, kind of having that whole target buck history thing like we talked about with you in the past?
Yeah, it's definitely it's a little different in the fact that, yeah, you don't really have the history with the animal, and I'd say it's less, you know, it's more when you have the history, it's more kind of like bittersweet, and you kind of, we talked about before how you're almost a little sad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This one, there's a less of a connection, but doesn't make it any less awesome, for lack of a better word, or, you know, but there is that less of a, you know, I'm not as bummed the fact that now I don't have this deer to chase next year or anything like that.
Yeah. So speaking of that, you know, what's the rest of your season look like if you're already tagged out in North Dakota right now?
Well, now I'll have more time to focus pretty much on Minnesota, here in the home state, and then Nebraska. I've got actually a number of really good bucks down in Nebraska to hunt this year.
Sweet.
And now I'll probably use, my vacation time will be different. If I would have used it for North Dakota, I would have waited till more of mid-November. But now I'll probably use it, you know, that last week of October time frame and head down to Nebraska and just spend more time down there, and then in around the home state. I've actually got a couple really big bucks to hunt around close to where I live, and I'll have more time instead of weekends trying to scoot out of work early and get out to North Dakota. I'll be more time spent at home. So,
man, that's cool. So when does the video release on this thing?
As soon as I can get to it.
Yeah. Working hard.
Hopefully by the end of next week. I think I've got it tentatively scheduled in my head to go up on Thursday. I'm going to make the North Dakota trip a 2-part, you know, video. So part 1 will hopefully go up earlier in the week. And that'll be, I'll show, you know, part 1 will be camp and the kind of the first couple hunts, setting the stage. And then part 2 will just be all about that hunt for that buck.
Cool, man. Awesome. Well, send it to us. We'll share it. And
yeah, for sure.
For the listener, man, you can check that out somewhere on our social here pretty soon. So I appreciate you hopping on the phone with us. And, man, congrats on that. That's an awesome buck. I aspire to one day shoot a velvet buck, even though it's not like top of my kind of goals or anything. I think it would be really cool to have that experience, man.
Yeah, it was definitely, I was in the same boat. It wasn't like I needed to shoot a velvet buck, but that buck just coming across the beans when I saw him, and I put up the binos and saw he was in full velvet. It was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, dude.
Once it actually happens.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. Well, it sounds like there's a good chance that we might have you on for a couple big buck breakdowns this year, and I hope that's the case, man. So good luck the rest of this season. That's a lot of cool traveling you're going to do. So I hope you can get it done.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Cool. We'll talk to you soon, dude.
All right, sounds good.
See ya. Well, I'm glad buck fever didn't get to him twice on this trip.
You know, they say it never strikes the same place twice. Or is that lightning? I don't really know.
Well, I've heard that too,
yeah.
But I have seen it strike the same person twice, that's for sure.
I felt it strike the same person twice.
Well, man, that's a cool story. I like I said, with him on the phone, I mean, it's something that I would like to have that experience of, but I'm not like after it, you know, or whatever. I think it'd be cool one day. But, man, more than anything, I'm ready to get in the woods and chase some deer with a bow. And honestly, like, if it's 95, I'm probably not going to do it. Mm-mm. So we're going to have to see some cooler weather, you know?
Yeah, I know. That's kind of the allure of, like, those guys from further up north, like, they're going and hunting deer in September with the lows in the 40s, like you said. You know, we hadn't seen the 40s in September and probably in my whole life, so unless we go somewhere. So
yeah.
It's a little bit different. But I can't wait for another month or so to pass and it be like that time around here, man, because it's going to be good.
By the time this thing airs, you're going to be like a couple of days from experiencing some 40-degree temperatures.
I will be, man. Yeah. Next week, or this thing is going to air on Tuesday, and Thursday I'm headed to Colorado for a little pursuit of elk and just good times. And you're going to be in Kansas not too long from then.
Probably so. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm going to be actually hunting or if I'm just going to be doing road scouting or what. But I'm going to be up there in the pursuit of whitetail deer, and it's an exciting time of year, man. And I mean, we didn't have a big buck breakdown until end of the season a while, and it's we've got it going right off the bat here this year, so be looking for many more of these. We've actually made some friends with some real killers throughout the last year, so now we don't have to rely on our buddies around here that just got to work all the time. These are guys that are going to kill some deer, so we might have to hear several big buck breakdowns this year. I don't know, it's just exciting. It's an update on how things are going across the country, I feel like, and it's pretty nice thing to have.
Yeah, well, if you've got a September season, get out there and get after it and kill another velvet buck for us. And if not, we're all looking forward to beginning of October when we can get in the stand and sweat.
That's right, man. Don't forget, Nameless, if you comment on YouTube, you're in the running for an X's trail camera, which would be handy in the early season.
Yeah, no kidding. And if you share Nameless on Facebook, we have a post. You can just go right to our element page. You share that post or the YouTube link from that post, and you can win Actually, the plot just thickened.
It did.
Because there are multiple OnX memberships
That's right.
up for grabs.
Yep.
You heard it here, guys. Multiple OnX memberships up for grabs. Go share that link.
So many of you have shared it that we decided to try to give a few more. So currently we're up to 2. We just doubled your odds.
Woo-hoo!
So
I'll take those odds any day.
That's right. That's good news. But anyway, until Thursday, we will see you soon. God bless. I hope you're getting out in it. And remember, this is your element.
Live in it.
Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.